Deep in the Smoky Mountains of North America, the fabled car enthusiast is looking for a mate. The others of his kind have already found their hatchbacks, and playing a game of Risk, this one has waited for a new GLI. Perhaps his day has come. But he's not alone. A slight setback. Perhaps, with a cooperative effort, they could both go home happy. It seems that succeeding together has overcome their selfish need to have it to themselves. Something that's unlikely to change, unless of course it has a manual transmission. Oh no.
You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas.
And I'm James, and this is the brand new Jetta GLI.
And we're taking it on Tail of the Dragon.
The GLI, a beacon of hope in a world where performance sedans are in an ever-decreasing number. And this one still has the option of a manual transmission. Sitting over half an inch lower than the standard Jetta, the GLI has some sporty styling, with its honeycomb grille and VW's characteristic red stripe. The end result then is a rather pretty machine.
At 81 more horsepower than the standard Jetta, the GLI is putting out the same 228 horses as its GTI hatchback brother. The engine for both the GLI trims is the familiar 2-liter TSI turbo, which administers 258 pound-feet of torque. And with the suspension from the Golf GTI and the brakes from a Golf R, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a ripple of excitement.
But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you see our videos as soon as they come out. Also, if you want to see what we're filming before it goes live on YouTube, follow us on Instagram at The Throttle House.
Alright, Jetta GLI on some epic Tennessee roads. Let's not hang about.
All right, first, we're going to spend some time on these back roads, and then we're going to hit Tail of the Dragon.
And today, we're driving the manual version. That's right, there's 3 pedals.
We're in the 35th anniversary in the American spec. In Canada, we actually get the fully loaded Autobahn with the 35th anniversary badging and roof and stuff. We're going to talk about the exterior stuff in a bit. But what you do need to know is that I have a manual transmission that is actually fantastic.
In fact, Volkswagen have insisted on bringing back the manual, and they've said it's here to stay.
All right, let's talk about the manual first, because I know you guys want to know about that. It's actually really smooth and quite notchy. It's a bit rubbery in gear, there's some play, but it's very like an obvious pop into gear. The clutch is fantastic. There's a really good point where you overcome the pressure plate, and there's feel to it. The throttle response is good as well, so I can do downshifts pretty easily.
Okay, but before we get into the really twisty roads, let's talk about the engine and the sound. Okay, downshifting into second, flooring it in sport mode. A lot of pipes and engine noise there. Definitely down to your preference, but it moves really well. That feels very GTI-like. We've got the 228 horsepower now, and it delivers all those power to the front wheels. Even in third gear, it's really torquey.
So yeah, the noise in sport mode is actually kind of boomy. It's not really that awesome. If you put it in comfort mode, it completely shuts everything off and it becomes very, very civilized. So this is kind of like a preference thing. Do you like the piped in sound? Do you not? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I guess it's nice to be able to hear the engine and the response of what's happening, downshifts and stuff like that. All right, the engine is actually quite smooth. The torque comes on really obviously at 3,000 RPM. And what I like the most about it is that the throttle response and the actual response from the engine is quite good. Good enough that I can do heel toes going into corners.
So this is on VW's MQB platform, which is the same as the Golf and the Tiguan and other, I think even the Atlas actually. And that allows VW to have economy of scale because it makes production really cheap. So this time we actually have the same engine exactly as the Golf GTI. So when the question comes down to it, and one we want to figure out today, is this just a GTI sedan? Because it's fallen a little bit short in the past.
Before we tackled the actual Tail of the Dragon, we stopped to chat about the styling.
Get down.
Oh, well, okay.
Don't slip. Okay, so we drove this on the highway. We drove it on some normal like roads in the city and stuff.
And it was great.
It's a Jetta.
It's a great Jetta.
It just drives like a Jetta. It's just nice. It's easy. It's refined.
The manual's really nice, really forgiving.
Yes.
The shifting's not notchy enough for me,
Okay.
and the rev hang is a bit annoying.
Yeah, that's fair.
We
That's
drove the
fair.
DSG and the GTI recently, and that was excellent.
It is,
So
but I would
I think
still take the manual.
You would?
Would you do the DSG?
I haven't tried the DSG on this, but I'm leaning towards it already.
Okay, I would almost always do a manual, especially because it's
But
the
for what we're
GLI.
about to do, the Tail of the Dragon,
Tail of the Dragon.
Manual every day.
Manual for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, styling
35th anniversary edition,
comes with lots of cool stuff actually.
really cool wheels, red stripes.
And it's not that much more money.
Yeah, and I don't like the wheels on the Jetta, the normal one.
Yes,
Oh,
these
sorry,
look
on the
cool.
GLI, sorry.
On the normal GLI, they're
These
like
are the 35th anniversary
these look
ones. They're better.
fantastic.
For $600, you get wheels, accents. It says 35th anniversary. You get to feel
Everywhere.
like you're in something special.
you get a black roof,
Yeah.
which looks good. You get a black lip spoiler.
Unfortunately, you still get the Jetta front.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
I don't think this looks as good as the old generation.
I
And
like this. It looks
these vents
big
are
and
fake.
executive. They are fake.
The LED lights are standard across all
And
GLIs.
they look fantastic. Do
They
you
look
agree?
really good.
Yes.
Really good.
But the front end, I think it looks imposing and executive. You know, like you roll up and you're like, oh, he's done well for himself. It's a fancy car. That's like kind of how it seems.
All right, yeah.
All right, fine.
It's livable. I like the side profile on this. Volcano red is
The Volcano Red is very, very good. The side profile is very, very good. And the rear end is actually quite good as well.
Yeah, well, we got the diffuser,
Yes.
which makes us feel very cool.
And guess what we do have? Real exhaust pipes.
What is that?
Interior?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay. So, this is a really driver-centric interior.
You can feel it from the passenger
Right,
seat,
you really can. Like,
Like
when
this
over
feels
there,
normal to me,
yeah,
but when you
don't-
sit over there, it's very clearly facing this way.
Everything is facing you. The climate control, the navigation,
Good.
everything. Yeah.
Good. Bit about time.
That's right. No, I actually really like this. I mean, the fit and finish is decent. Like everything is fairly tight. This is soft touch. That's good.
I think it's quite
Steering wheel.
sporty here. We've got
Steering
the
wheel,
flat bottom
actually.
steering wheel,
It
yeah.
says GLI on it. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Right, it's a GTI steering
We
wheel.
this
right?
particular trim hasn't got the digital gauge,
And
but
you know what?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we could.
I've warmed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Right? It's actually really cool looking. The dials are really nice, and all the information's in the center. I don't know. It's
It's
cool.
nice. I don't think they've nailed the digital gauge cluster enough
Right.
that it's worth.
Yes.
If it was a standalone feature, but it obviously comes with all the other
Yeah.
stuff with the Autobahn, so I would still end up having it because.
Well, you have to in Canada
But
anyway.
I
right?
prefer
Yeah.
the leather seats as well.
Yeah, these hold you in better.
They do, and
Because
they're
they're
nice
rippy.
and warm with the heated seats, but the leather seats with the ventilated stuff.
Yeah, like the top trim
That'd
has
be my
ventilated seats, it has heated seats, it has the digital dash, it has everything.
That'd be my pick.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because this doesn't have a sunroof because it is the 35th anniversary.
And therefore we have a ton of
A ton of headroom and
Yeah.
a lower center of gravity. This is plastic down here. That's okay,
Yeah.
right? The gear knob is cool, I guess.
There's plenty of space. We've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto.
Yep, it's all there. I mean, this is the smaller infotainment, but honestly, it's totally fine. What
fine.
we're saying basically is if you're going to get the base trim, you're
Yeah.
okay, honestly.
The
It's
good
cool.
news is there's not a ton of piano black in here, apart from the fact that there is.
It's just
Yeah, there is. very
everywhere.
much,
Yeah. Thankfully, it's not down here. Thankfully, it's not down here. It is just up on these parts. I mean, this is okay here because you don't ever touch
Yeah,
that.
it's nowhere that you touch.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
true.
avoid it. The
right?
floor is lava over here.
That's right.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. This is pretty spacious. Tons of headroom. I mean,
Very
this is
nice.
good.
Back seats are really comfy.
There's so much room in the back seats.
Yeah.
Actually, there's as much room behind you as there was in the Accord that we just tested.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Madness.
No, I think it's really.
Mind-blowing.
This is a good interior. It's driver centric. It's inoffensive.
Yes.
Even like where they've tried to be a bit adventurous with the styling, it's not crazy. It's not. I like
And
it.
if you get the top trim, you get more kit than you would in the
GTI.
GTI.
Yeah, and it's cheaper.
And it's cheaper.
Right. So it's a good argument for.
That's an easy argument. Really.
And that a lot of that is thanks to the fact that it's on the MQB platform. They get to make it cheaper.
they get to make it cheaper.
And the good news is, on the drive so far, it doesn't feel any cheaper than. It doesn't drive any cheaper than the GTI.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely, it still feels quite Volkswagen, very
Yeah.
refined and premium.
But we will see what that feels like on the Dragon.
All right, Tail of the Dragon. Sport mode, obviously. In sport mode, it adjusts the differential up front, which means that I can put the power down in the corners, which is what you need on this road because it is ridiculously twisty.
Okay, on the Dragon. I've done the Dragon before, and I remember it being tail of the Dramamine by the end, because this road is so fun, you can make yourself sick as the driver. And I did!
Okay, steering. It's actually quite heavy on center, which is good. And when I turn in, the weight builds in the corner half decent. There's not a lot of feedback, really, but it is totally acceptable for what this car is. And it's engaging enough that I'm already having a good time. Yeah, weight builds in the corner. I actually really like the steering in this. It's good. What a road. If you've never been to Tail of the Dragon, it's worth a trip.
Now, I've learned that going on Tail of the Dragon is not called a dragoning. In fact, dragoning is a weird thing where you are puking up and pooping at the same time. So don't call going on Tail of the Dragon dragoning, I've learned. Okay, this car feels great. It feels a lot like the GTI, a lot like the GTI. And that's what these cars are so good at doing. 1 minute you can be on the back roads or Tail of the Dragon, which is the enhanced version of that. And the next minute you can put it in comfort mode and be cruising on your way to your job. Maybe you're lucky enough that your job's at the end of the Dragon.
Yeah, coming out of the really tight stuff, of which there is a lot, I can feel the diff putting power to the wheel that you just wouldn't get power to in an open diff. And it makes such a difference. It's just pulling itself out of the corner. It's really impressive. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, obviously a little bit of understeer, some electronic stuff taking care of that. But look at this! I shouldn't be able to do that. That diff is unbelievable.
These seats are very comfortable. They're not particularly bolstered, but I feel very gripped by them. I think it's because these are cloth. This feels great. If you told me I'd be doing this in a Jetta, I'd be like, go away, I want to be in any other car on the Dragon. But this Jetta GLI feels really good. Super planted, the steering is really accurate, the weighting is really nice. It doesn't feel that artificial.
So this is the 35th anniversary edition. So that means in America, you get the adaptive suspension automatically. But in Canada, the 35th anniversary edition automatically has this because there's only the one trim, and then there's the 35th kind of badging and cool stuff on top of that. So if you're in one like this, with a manual transmission, you've got a suspension that actually does a really impressive job of managing the weight and the size of this car. Because no, this does not feel like a Miata out here, I'll tell you that. But for what it is, it feels really controllable. I find it easy to control the weight. Watch, come in, come off the throttle a little bit, and the nose just kind of cuts in. This is a good car.
Now the Dragon requires a lot of concentration, and it's a very good way to make your passenger say, we almost died, about once a mile, so that's 11 times. It's on roads like this where you're very aware of the A-pillar of the car because you're constantly trying to look around the corner to make sure it's safe. And I can say that the A-pillars in this are fine.
This is a fun car, actually. I mean, do I wish I had rear-wheel drive? Yes, obviously, but I'm doing all right now.
Now the roads are a little bit damp this morning, but this GLI holds the road so well. And every time I put the pedal, we haven't actually made the wheel spin once. And that's not to say this doesn't have a lot of torque. It just grips the road really, really well. VW know how to make a front diff.
And they also know how to make a good sports sedan, as it turns out. Both of us loved driving the Jetta on normal roads and on very challenging twisties. We found that in the city, the car was easy and the ride was compliant, and on the back roads, the adaptive chassis controls stiffened it up enough that it felt sharp and responsive. However, we both agreed that we would probably take the GTI because of the cool factor. But it's hard to argue with the fact that in the GLI, you get more tech for less money, and if you need a sedan, well, then we would happily recommend this one.